Hi, everybody. Sherri Leopold here, and I am here with the amazing Rosemary Hurwitz, and she is a 2026 WOW Warrior. Congratulations, Rosemary.
Thank you so much. You're such a wonderful support to women.
Thank you, Rosemary. And you are a WOW Warrior, and that is why you are here. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about that honor. So, I want to ask you first, Rosemary, what does it mean to you when you hear the words woman of worth warrior?
I think it is really a good word, the word warrior, because it implies that you have fought the good fight, whatever that means to you in terms of your own self awareness, your self acceptance, your connecting and to others, your compassion for others. So, because of course, what you give to yourself, you're going to give out to others. So, the inner work that you do is really important, I think, to be considered a warrior. And I have done that, and I am proud of that. And I am now more of a mentor. I still work on the work is never done, but the mentoring begins at some point when we want to give back to the future generations of women. And I'm really proud to do that with Enneagram Collaborative Global. So I do that and with other organizations as well, but that's my main focus right now.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. That's beautiful. And it leads me to my next question, which is, was there a moment along your journey, and every woman of worth warrior has a journey, but is there something along that journey that you've had that helped you own your worth, that there's a, like I refer to it as a pivotal moment, something that sticks out that you're like, you put your finger on and you say, that's what started it, or that was a big moment in that journey? Is there something that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, for sure. I had a clinical depression when I was a college freshman. That was a shock point, which I would call Michael Naylor, who runs the Enneagram and Addictions for us at Enneagram Collaborative. We have these subject matter expert groups, and he runs that. And he calls, and I think Russ Hudson also uses this term, shock point. These are points in your life that change the trajectory of it. And so this clinical depression I had as a college freshman really helped me start living from the inside out. I think I used to, most teenagers and kids are certainly, once they unfortunately lose that presence, the presence that we have, right, as infants and children, and we get self-conscious and all of that. But there's a point at which you can be from a really good family. I was from one, a good Catholic family, 6 kids in 9 years. My dad ran a tight ship. That was tough for a lot of us because we didn't have a lot of individuation. We had we had attention. It wasn't that. It was just that, what I mean by a tight ship, it's just there were rules to them to make things easier. And sometimes those rules seemed just irrelevant or unfair or whatever, or just certain rigidities that you would be like, that doesn't seem like I would do it that way if I were a parent. And all kids feel these things. It's not that unique, I guess. But for whatever reason, in my situation, I felt that I was lapped in a lot with the group think, and I didn't have a lot of individual cultivation. And so when I was 18 and I'm in this nursing program at a university or a college that I didn't want to be at, I really wanted to be at the university that my dad taught at, but it was tough because I felt it was going to be tough because I felt I was trying to exercise a snippet of independence being in this nursing program at a local college. Anyway, was in it. It wasn't right. It wasn't what I should have been doing. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I wasn't really called that way. I was nurturing, but not in the sciences, more as I've ended up as Enneagram-based coach. We used to say life coach. We drop the word life. We just say the word coach now, but it's a healing ourselves with the Enneagram. And I have been working with this for 22, 23 years since I had a midlife change. That would have been the second probably shock point, knowing that I was meant to do work on a deep level with people, knowing I was meant to do spiritual direction and coaching, counseling. And so that's what those two, I think the clinical depression was the foundation, one of the foundations. Maybe you're born a certain way and you have a certain predisposition. And then I had a foundational experience as a college freshman, which changed everything. I went back to the university I wanted to be at. I majored in something in communications. I'm much more creative and communicative, and that was suited me well. I was in human resources and corporate recruiting for my first career. And then I had this deeper call. My husband and I did retreat weekends for discovery, which was patterned after marriage encounter, got a lot out of it. And I just knew I should be working with people on a deep level. And so I went back and got a Master of Arts in Pastoral Studies at Loyola University in Chicago and never have looked back. Got certified in teaching the Enneagram and coaching with it. And that's, yeah.
That was going to be my next question, is about who are you called to serve, Rosemary? What do you feel that you are being led? Who do you feel like you are being led to serve? And why does that matter to you?
I'm being called to serve people who are, anyone I say who has ears to hear. That's really, it could be anyone, but they need to have ears to hear. That is, they need to be open to their own growth, their own self-awareness, their own self-acceptance, their own healthy relationship with themselves, from which all other relationships are really viewed. The one that you have with yourself is so important because it is the foundational one from which all others come forth.
That is 100% true. And we're actually going to pivot a little bit and talk about a different relationship. And this time we're going to ask about a relationship that perhaps that you had with a powerful woman in your life that inspired you or your leadership or your journey along the way. Is there some woman that you would acknowledge for being that bright light, or if you want to say light in the dark, or whatever way you would like to say it? Is there somebody that you would like to acknowledge that has been an inspiration for you?
Yes. First of all, I have to say my mother, because she was a really deep spiritual influence in my life. She'd drive us to places in maybe high school or grade school, and she'd say, let's say a decade of the rosary. And we'd all roll our eyes and say, oh, we don't want to do that. Or, that's silly, or that, no. And your parents become really wise when they pass on. And there's a strong connection to her deep faith for me. And I feel her with me a lot in this journey, the spiritual journey and the faith journey. And then secondly, because I wanted to do my own therapy. I had done that intense therapy in college, which was a very fruitful experience for me. And I came out with a much stronger sense of myself and a strong core building as a young adult. But midlife, somewhere along the way, I wanted to do therapy. And I think I was just struggling a little bit with being a mother of 4 kids, and there was a span of 10, 11 years between the youngest and the oldest. So lots of needs to meet and lots of angst once there was teenagers. And anyway, I went into therapy, and this woman that I saw gave me an incredible strength which was about, again, to be inner focused and to be centered is not selfish. It is foundational in your own health and how you are. And this was in when did I meet Don? I want to say 90s, the early 90s. And I was given so many good just mantras, like it's not always your problem, or when you want to make everything your problem, or you want to be the giver or whatever all the time. It's not your work. When all the moms at school were going on overdrive and giving to a fault and then resenting it, I really heard in the small group that she led, this therapist, that you might be a little different than some of these women. Some of them might consider this whole premise of giving to yourself first, and the whole thing with the oxygen mask metaphor, putting yours on first before you can meet the needs of others. All of that was so powerful for me. And it was her message to this small group of young moms, and whatever age our kids all were. And yet she'd say, you're going to run across other mothers who are different, and they're giving to an excess that you might feel, sometimes you want to compare yourself, or you might think, I'm not doing enough or as much. But really, then there were books that came out like Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much, or all these different things. And we've gotten a really much better sense of awareness around this issue. And I would say since the turn of the century, since 2000, it's been growing. But for so long, habits are so hard to break. And when women are so other focused, it's hard to pry them loose from that a little bit. And so she was hugely instrumental in the way I mothered myself, took care of myself, and then therefore took care of others.
Oh, that's beautiful. And her name was Donna?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really a beautiful story.
I put in my book, Who You Are Meant to Be, the Enneagram Effect, I put to Donna, my Madonna, who taught me how to remother myself in a way that's much healthier than I would have done it had I never met her. So those kinds of inner work pays dividends, I say, that pass on to generation. You can love your own mother, but they made mistakes based on the evolution of where they were at that time. And our kids will look at us and say, we made some mistakes. It's all fine. It's not pointing fingers. It's just growth and evolution. But I would not have been as evolved had it not been for Donna.
So, Rosemary, as a WOW Warrior Honoree for 2026, is there a message that you would share with a woman who might be watching, who really knows she's meant for more, but is still hesitating? She's yearning for that greatness, but still has that little bit of hesitation. Is there a message that you would extend?
Oh, I got a perfect one. Let's see if I can find it, though, because I saved it. It's so good. Yeah. It's basically summed up this thusly. Don't wait. Yes, get your credentials, get whatever you need to do the work you feel called to do, but don't wait until the perfect time. Don't wait until you think you're ready. Don't wait so long that you are now in another decade. It might feel like a century, but you're in a new decade and you still haven't done it. Life is too short. So I would say, get the credentials you need. If you're a credential-oriented kind of person, I am, and I understand that. But one of the ways that I wrote my book, I'm looking for it here. Let me see if I can just find this beautiful piece. I remember meeting Wayne Dyer at an I Can Do It Hay House event. I was on a cruise, actually, an I Can Do It Hay House cruise. And I was sitting on the beach next to Wayne Dyer. And I said, I just wish I could get this written quicker. I was being hard on myself. I'm like, I don't understand why it takes so long. I know it's here. And he said, what difference does it make if you are quicker, or what if you don't write it in this lifetime? What if you write it in your next lifetime? And I got such a kick out of that. I was like, oh my God. It's meant to be when it's meant to be. But I was in my own way, and I could feel that. And when he said that, who cares when it'll be? Then I just could feel out. I got out of my own way about it. And then something happened. The floodgates opened up, and I was just like, I'm looking for this beautiful piece that was just sent to me today. Of course, I can't find it because I didn't know the question was coming.
That's okay.
I would have had it.
I know that people, Rosemary, are going to be very inspired by your journey. And I think that is excellent advice, what you said. And oh my gosh,
okay.
That's amazing.
Right. I won't have to read them a bedtime story then.
Okay. No, they can get the book. And I'm green that you got to sit with Wayne Dyer on the beach. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I know. He was so kind. I gave him a few almonds. He was hungry. He was there with the gal who had written or ghost written his book. and he had leukemia, and she was part of this medical team, and he was hungry. And I remember he said, I just wish I overheard him. He was sitting right next to me. He said, I'm hungry. I just wish we had some like raw almonds or something. I just need a handful of something. And I said, I have some raw almonds. I happen to have some. Would you like them? And he said, oh, that's great. So I gave him a little tiny package of them or something. And we had this nice conversation. And these are the things that's meant to be. All these beautiful things that happen in your life that give you the confidence to go to the next step or the next step. I'm not somebody that I believe you should get your credentials. I don't love people. I'm not saying you can't be the most talented individual in the world and not do any schoolwork or certifications or whatever. There are people like that. Jesus was a rabbi, but we always say that about Jesus, that he didn't necessarily go around flaunting his certifications. It's silly to even think that. But by and large, let's say generally, you're going to feel more comfortable with someone who took the time to do their work. And once you've done that, though, then get out of your own way and get going. The world needs your light. It needs you to get out there, and because you might see something in a way that somebody else just doesn't see it. I remember thinking, what can I write another Enneagram book? There's so many out there. What can I possibly have to contribute? Not maybe everybody in the Enneagram field had a clinical depression when they were 18 and got over it. My dad said, you should write a book called How I Got Well and Stayed That Way when I was a young mom. And I said, oh, Dad, that's really sweet. Thanks. But I'm busy with 4 kids. I don't think. But then that came to be. I didn't write a book called How I Got Well and Stayed That Way. I went to some writers' workshops. I got contacted by Hierophant Publishing. Would you like to submit a thing for a chapter for a book we're doing called No Mistakes, How You Can Change Adversity into Abundance? I wrote about my experience and they loved it and took it. And it was my first publication, and that now 12 more of those and my own book. So you have to take the first step. You can't, if you say to yourself, what do I have to contribute? You're negating that you're this individual, unique snowflake that no one else is like.
That's 100% what I write in my book as well, about being a snowflake, a one of a kind. Yeah. I think we're going to end with that, because that is the most amazing, I think, advice that you could give anyone, is to be that unique individual that they are and tap your own inner wisdom.
No one else has it, right? You've got it. And you might just reach someone that is waiting for that.
Absolutely. And you can connect with Rosemary at spiritdrivenliving.com, spiritdrivenliving.com, and find out everything that Rosemary's doing about all her books and her coaching and all the things that she does. I just want to finish by saying congratulations, Rosemary, on being a WOW Warrior for 2026. We are privileged to have you as part of the community.
Oh, thank you. You are a love. Thank you so much. Thank you.
If you want to learn more about what we're doing in the WOW Warrior platform, you can go to SherriLeopold.com, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.